Carlos Sainz's Formula One career has unexpectedly received a potential boost, as a team he used to drive for might be interested in bringing him back, should the opportunity arise. But with Williams making strides that make the 2026 season look promising and McLaren firmly settled with their two talented drivers, what would it take for Sainz to be seen at McLaren again? Even more intriguing, could there be a hidden meaning behind Zak Brown's recent remarks about Sainz's availability? Zak Brown recently made an intriguing comment about Carlos Sainz's future, which caught the attention of many in the F1 world. Sainz, a three-time race winner, has already committed to the Williams project, focusing on helping the Grove-based team return to glory. However, McLaren, a team that has steadily risen through the ranks and set high standards in 2025, raises the question, how far can they go once the new regulations take effect? Brown's statement about potentially re-signing Sainz adds an interesting layer to the situation, especially considering McLaren's current driver lineup. Zak Brown's statement is especially noteworthy because, as of now, there's no real reason for him to comment on his current drivers' situations. Both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri seem like stable choices for the team in the years ahead, but Brown, with his deep understanding of the sport, knows that McLaren's current position won't last forever. If either Norris or Piastri begins to feel that their chances of winning the championship are limited due to the car's performance or other factors, they might start considering other career options. This is why Brown's words about Sainz are so interesting. He doesn't seem to be taking the situation lightly, and it's clear he's thinking ahead. As he put it, if McLaren ever found themselves with an open seat, Sainz would definitely be a driver worth considering. But for now, with Norris and Piastri locked into contracts for the foreseeable future, the situation remains stable. Still, Brown made it clear that if things changed and Sainz became available, he would be ready to reach out, saying, "I have his phone number in my address book." In Formula One, contracts aren't always as solid as they might seem. While Norris and Piastri are indeed under contract with McLaren, that doesn't necessarily guarantee their future at the team. In the world of F1, contracts often have clauses that can allow a driver to leave if certain conditions are met. A good example is Max Verstappen, who reportedly has a clause in his contract that would allow him to leave Red Bull if he falls outside the top three in the drivers' standings. It's entirely possible that similar clauses exist in the contracts of McLaren's current drivers, which could give the team some flexibility in the future. Looking at how the 2025 season has unfolded, both Norris and Piastri are likely to push themselves to the limit to ensure they remain competitive. The pressure is on both drivers to perform, as the team's future could be shaped by their success. On top of that, Piastri's situation is a bit more intriguing. He's managed by Mark Webber, a former driver who had to play second fiddle to Sebastian Vettel during his time at Red Bull. This adds a layer of complexity to the situation, especially when you consider that Piastri's new contract reportedly emphasizes that he should focus on his own performance, not anyone else's. This could set up a potential rivalry between him and Norris, as they both vie for supremacy within. Zak Brown, McLaren's CEO, recently shared his thoughts on the potential of a future championship rivalry between Piastri and Norris. He stated that the fight between the two drivers isn't a matter of if, but rather when. Brown is confident that this internal competition will eventually happen, as both drivers are incredibly talented. His prediction suggests that when the time comes, it won't be a quiet affair. He anticipates that it will be a racing incident, a scenario where both drivers are so evenly matched that one will eventually make a mistake, leading to some on-track drama. Fortunately, he doesn't seem worried about the rivalry getting out of hand, as he believes both drivers are level-headed and not prone to reckless behavior. For McLaren, having two strong contenders like Norris and Piastri is both a blessing and a challenge. While it raises the potential for a championship-winning team, it also puts the team in a difficult position. Both drivers will be pushing for the top spot, and the internal dynamics could become tense. However, Brown seems to be prepared for this, stating that he's not concerned about the clash and looks forward to seeing it unfold. The question remains whether McLaren can keep their two drivers under control while also focusing on the bigger picture of winning races and championships. Oscar Piastri's contract situation has sparked plenty of media attention, especially given his connection to Mark Webber, a former F1 driver and a manager who has always played second fiddle during his career. Webber's influence seems to be shaping Piastri's approach to racing. It's been reported that Piastri's new contract emphasizes that he should not prioritize team dynamics or defer to another driver, but instead focus on himself and his performance. This reflects a shift in attitude within McLaren, where the team recognizes that both Piastri and Norris should compete on an equal footing. Brown has expressed his agreement with Piastri's mindset, acknowledging that the championship fight between the two will be inevitable and that the rivalry will be key to McLaren's success in the future. But even with this exciting prospect, McLaren faces a tricky situation. Norris, once the team's clear number one driver, might be feeling the pressure. With Piastri proving himself as a serious contender, Norris will need to up his game to maintain his position. The mental aspect of racing will come into play, and Norris will need to find ways to cope with the intense competition within his own team. The dynamic at McLaren will be crucial to their future success. Both Piastri and Norris are talented, but for McLaren to make the most of this, they will need to manage their internal competition without letting it negatively impact the team's overall performance. The situation at McLaren becomes even more intriguing when we consider the potential reunion between Carlos Sainz and the team. One of the key factors here is that Zak Brown was not the one who let Sainz go. It was Carlos's decision to leave for Ferrari at the time. Back then, no one could have predicted how McLaren would rise to the top in the coming years, but now, both Sainz and McLaren are in very different positions in their careers. Despite this, Brown still holds Sainz in high regard. He praised Sainz for being a great driver, a good friend, and an important part of the team when he was there. Brown expressed his belief that he was fortunate not to have been the one to make the tough decision to part ways with Sainz, but the door remains open for a possible future reunion, should circumstances align. However, any return to McLaren wouldn't be straightforward. Sainz's commitment to Williams is evident, as he sees it as a project he wants to be a part of. He has a deep respect for Williams, recalling how, as a young boy, he admired the team. The idea of returning to a team with such history and bringing them back to the top would be an enticing challenge for him. But McLaren's rising potential and the possibility of a top-tier seat could prove tempting. In the end, the decision lies with Carlos Sainz, and it's not just about the seat available but how he feels about the project and where he believes his future in Formula One lies. If McLaren's internal struggles reach a boiling point, Sainz could become the perfect answer to their problems. But for now, it's a waiting game. Will McLaren be able to keep their current drivers happy, or will they look elsewhere for a solution? As we watch the 2025 season unfold, the tension and uncertainty will only continue to build, and Formula One fans around the world will be on the edge of their seats waiting to see what happens next.